time travel. I'm fascinated by time travel. I've written a few sci-fi short stories. This one isn't science fiction as such, but it involves time travel, in as much as a time loop, which is fascinating. Like Groundhog Day style. Perhaps we all live in a time loop and just can't remember. Who knows?
I'm sure it's here yesterday,
Yeah.
So what you working on Back to the Future time travel or Terminator time travel?
Time travel. Well, I'm talking specifically about the same day. Like a time
loopage.
A time loopage.
Ouroboros or Ouroboros time.
Oh yeah. Snake.
So yeah, Snake Eating. So yeah.
This is called The Hidden Libraries of Dr. Dancer. Mausoleum Park is a neglected public space. It could have once boasted colonnades and lawn terraces, a windmill, tea rooms, and hens by grand private houses with sweeping terraces and exquisite lawns. Or so we are led to believe by the few local history books which have recorded the origination and eventual passing of the park and its attendant houses. One fact that cannot be known for sure is the origin of the name. Many theories have been put forward as to why the area was a Parker's Hall and the true meaning of the word mausoleum. The majority of professional knowledge and opinions of its mysterious history tend to agree there was never such an edifice built on those acres, and if there had been, it was destroyed without any historical record. To a degree, this is not surprising because a terrace of those marvellous old Victorian houses, described as having turrets, wings and ornate tiling, also vanish overnight. Let me underline here, I'm not meaning it in any literary sense, but in a literal sense. One day they were there, the next not. Just empty space, not even basements left behind, or foundations of any sort. The Windrup Borough Council tried their best for a few years to keep it clear of overgrowth. The rougher elements of society seemed to congregate amongst the network of muddy pathways between the trees. A friend of mine told me a while ago that there were dens hidden somewhere for those thieves and murderers, although I take that with a pinch of salt. So it has become not a park again over the past couple of years, with large areas cleared with just meadow left, wooden walkways and stream bridges built where needed, and the clock tower tea rooms open again for business. The area is popular, mainly in the spring and summer months, attracting families out for the day for a bit of fresh air, dog walkers, kite flyers, metal detectors, and botanists like myself. It has become an all-encompassing hobby of mine of late, especially as I recently moved into a terraced house not even half a mile away from the park. It's easy, on my days off, to cycle there and ramble through the woods in search of interesting plant specimens, especially found near the ponds and streams, the damp and humid places. It was while cycling in one of those particularly dense areas, not far from the clearing where the vanished houses used to stand, that I discovered a book. It was lodged on a tree approximately 15 feet up. The find certainly looked intriguing, and I was keen to retrieve it from the grasping branches. I ascertained that even by standing on the saddle of my bicycle, there wasn't any way to start to climb into the tree. But then, finding a decent stick at least 5 feet long, I managed to balance on the saddle after all, with the bicycle leaning on the thick trunk of a tree. By hugging the tree and reaching up with the stick, I was able to knock the strange find to the ground. Upon opening the book's hardback cover, I found the pages to be blank, and inset was an ornate door key. I assumed it was for a door. I placed the find in my jacket pocket, mounted my bicycle, and headed for the track which leads to the area of the vanished houses. To my astonishment, and I mean utter astonishment, There was the row of Victorian houses, their tons of weight definitely planted on the earth where they used to be before simply vanishing. The house in the middle had wrought iron railings and consisted of 3 stories, 6 windows on each story. A flight of concrete steps led to a pair of ornately carved double doors, one of which opened quickly. A man dressed in a smart but antiquated suit, immediately beckoned to me. The solid phantom of a man spoke with a cultured and deep voice. "Welcome to the libraries of Dr. Dancer." I spoke the first thought that came to mind. "Are you a guide?" "Indeed I am not," he replied. "You shall be your own guide." And with that said, he held out a slim hand. I leant my bicycle against the railings and mounted the steps. I went to shake his hand, though I didn't know why I should, and he retracted it, and I did likewise, feeling puzzled. Not only for the stranger's retraction, but for the reason I had felt compelled to shake the hand in the first place. Again he extended an arm, but this time with his pale palm turned upwards. "I'm not understanding," I remember remarking. But then it dawned on me, perhaps the unusual man wanted the key I had found in the tree. I searched in my jacket pocket and retrieved the key, placing it into the man's palm with a sort of reverence, as though it were part of some esoteric ritual. The moment I did so, the other side of the door opened, and a young man, staring wildly at me, stood swaying on the top step. "Sorry," he muttered, before running down the steps towards my bicycle leaning against the railings. He looked familiar. I was distracted by the besuited gentleman going back inside the house as he said, "This way." After a moment of hesitation, I followed. Silence then, utter and complete silence. The man was nowhere to be seen. I found myself in a large hallway with a huge sweeping staircase in the middle leading to the next floor, though at the top was a brick wall. All surfaces, apart from the stairs and brick wall, and the door to the left and the ornately designed floor cut tiles, were covered in mirrors. My reflection each side went on to infinity. "Hello," I called out. I walked over to the door on the left and tried it, but it was locked. A dream state within reality, I considered then, especially as the chandelier descended behind me with a grating of its chain, and when it was at eye level, there was another small book within its pendants, identical to the one I had found in the woods, and inside an identical key. I retrieved it and tried it in the door. It fitted. I unlocked the door and opened it, stepping through to a large room. Ornate coving ran along 3 sides, a mottled ceiling above and flocked wallpaper on 2 of the walls. The third wall was panelled, dark oak or possibly mahogany, some of the panels scratched, and the fourth wall was covered with bookcases holding antique books, their spines gold impressed and chiselled. I took one of the volumes from its shelf and opened it. The pages were blank, as were any of the other books I chose to extract and inspect. For a moment, sense returned and I felt I must leave the silent room. I opened the door through which I had come back into the hallway. At least I would have naturally assumed it would have taken me back there. Instead, I stepped into an identical room to the one I had just left behind. Except there were bookcases on 2 sides and the room could be seen to be even larger. Compelled again to inspect these books, though this time with multicoloured spines, I found they could not be opened, each book made of solid as if carved from glued paper. How many more times did I go through that same door to identical rooms, each room becoming larger than the next? How many times did I look at the books on the bookcase shelves in each? I can't recall. Though I do remember the volumes in some of the rooms, projections of books, books made from stale cake, those volumes with the inside text printed upside down, those in a language like nothing on earth, those with cryptic symbols, enigmatic diagrams, books in one room, each with its own fragrance, tiny books, books more than 10 feet high on only one shelf, reaching to the ceiling, books made from candle wax, powdered horse hooves, and other exotic materials like rare metals and alloys. I entered the final room, for I knew this to be the last one. Looking back to the door, I saw it had disappeared, and there weren't any bookcases in the room, just 4 walls, half panelled and papered with block wallpaper, and a spiral staircase at one side of it. I tread up the staircase with trepidation in my step, hoping there might be a way to escape above. At the top of the staircase, I found a casement window overlooking the edge of Mausoleum Park. On the windowsill lay another book with a key shape cut out inside. I placed the door key there. Through some impulse, I opened the window with the idea I could climb out, but realised I was on the 2nd floor. I was in a dream state. My instinct told me to throw the book with the key inside through the open window as hard as I was able. It flew across to the trees at the Mausoleum Park perimeter and lodged in a tree. I stood for a while looking at the scene, framed by the casement window as if it were a painting, then trod back down the spiral staircase to the empty room again. Though this time the staircase continued through the floor to a room below, identical to the first room I had visited, the one with the antique volumes held on their dark wood shelves. I hurriedly pulled the door open and walked back into the mirrored hallway. The pursuited gentleman stood with his back to the brick wall at the top of the staircase before gently padding down the carpeted stairs. I watched with a type of fascination as he moved within a dream. He walked in a formal fashion to the double doors and opened the right hand one. While in conversation with someone on the doorstep, I took the opportunity to escape, flinging open the left-hand door. Had my experience been no more than a circus or fairground illusion, without meaning, or were there hidden, deeper metaphysical traits yet to be uncovered from their influence on my mind? In a way, it didn't matter, as I yelled to the new visitor, "Sorry," and rushed down the granite steps and over to my bike, still leaning against the railings. Thank you.